Spider-Man with some little. That'll be.
I was gonna say, speaking of all these cartoons, we'll talk about the Mandalorian. You guys, everybody's like, you guys, why haven't you talked about the Mandalorian?
Yeah, there it is.
But
no, not yet.
Other than the Mandalorian, what have you been most excited to see on Disney Plus?
I immediately put Gargoyles in my watch list because it's been a hot minute. I also put The Three Caballeros, which I don't know if people know this.
God, that was
not the movie. Not the movie, Mark. There's a new cartoon show that Disney produced. Eric Bauza is one of the voices on it. There's a new cartoon show with Donald, with the Three Caballeros, that they have been releasing on like a Disney app internationally the past couple years.
What?
And
and they're all there, Pancho Pistolas, like all those guys.
They're all there. Well, I haven't seen. It's like 13 episodes, and it's like the Three Caballeros going on some kind of adventure, and it's modern animation, new voices. It's all new, but for years now, since that has been kind of secretly announced, people in the United States have been like, animation fans have been like, why can't we get it? And eventually at some point they were like, oh, it'll be on Disney Plus.
Okay.
So that was the first thing I'm like, cool, now I have access to it in this territory. Previously could not access it, but I saw some people on the internet, some international fans were like, oh yeah, I got it. It's great. It's a great kid show. It's awesome. So I put that in my queue. I put what else did I put? I put, because I recently watched for my buddy over at Screen Junkies, Billy Business. I watched you know Billy Business. I watched the 3 Mighty Ducks movies.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I watched them all, and I was like, oh, these, I don't like them.
Quack,
But at the same time, my kid brain does love them. So it's just interesting. I'm like watching it. I'm like, this is amazing. And also my adult brain is like, this is a dumb movie. This is so bad.
But you know
that
happens with a lot.
Knuckle Puck.
That happens with a lot of movies from the 80s.
And
because I watch, like, if you watch something like Neverending Story, I still think it holds up.
Sure.
But there's movies like
right.
exactly, or like Labyrinth.
Sure.
It's great soundtrack, but it's also kind of ridiculous.
And also, I'm such a huge fan of my favorite. It was like a little mini genre in the 90s, which was the inspirational kids playing sports movies. They just brought back the Bad News Bears for the 90s.
Yeah, like Little Giants.
I love it.
Great
but
movie.
I think the best one is The Sandlot. I think The Sandlot is genuinely an amazing film. So everything else I'm kind of comparing to that. So I watched the Mighty Ducks movies. I had fun. But in the 90s, I don't know if y'all remember, they made a spin-off animated anthropomorphic duck crime fighting show called Mighty Ducks.
Oh, yes.
The animated series.
do remember that.
I put that in my queue immediately.
Inexplicably played hockey.
Was it good?
Ian Ziering, Brad Garrett, some other voice actors. I remember loving it, and it was only like one season, so I'm going to rewatch the hell out of it. I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Yeah,
that's what I'm enjoying most is the things that I would never intentionally seek out. And you're like, that's right. And it's like, I tweeted and Instagrammed about it because I couldn't handle my nostalgia. I was watching the Spider-Man animated series theme, the theme, last night.
Yeah.
And it was like 1 a.m, and just hearing that like first riff, seeing that web come down, seeing like Morbius swipe the webbing, like there's just so much that it brings you not just back to Spider-Man, it brings you back to being 6 or 8 or however old you were.
I was older, but
and I used to VHS tape them and then stop for commercials and then quickly record again. And I broke so many VCRs just with that show. And then you bought the clam box for like $27 at Suncoast Video, and it had that plastic smell.
With like 3 episodes on it.
Yeah, and then it was just
bullshit.
It was 45 minutes. And you're like, you can fit more on this tape. I know you can.
I know, it was so dumb of them. Why did they do exactly? Well, it was actually smart of them and dumb of us.
We were the dumb ones because we gave them our $27 for 3 episodes. But now we can just watch it all. And I think nostalgia is a piece of the times right now because we're like escapism so strong, but we're overwhelmed with content. So it's a great safety net of like we know this content, and it reminds us what it was like when times were simpler to us.
Yes. Well, and that's it's interesting because we were just talking about that yesterday. I forget who I was. Probably Haley Fouch because she's my fellow witch. Yeah. But it's one of the things where it's interesting to see nostalgic things. Not like the rehash stuff that we see nowadays, like with Stranger Things or whatever, which is still cool. But when you watch something that you watched as a kid, like something like Batman Returns to me, like no matter how people feel about that movie, it just is always going to make me feel good. Yeah. Like if I watch them, no matter what, it just brings me back to being like 12, right? Or 10 years old, and be like, this is like nothing else matters. Like this moment right now, like this art that I'm watching in front of me, like this is what makes me happy. Yeah. And that's how I feel about Spider-Man the cartoon, X-Men the cartoon, obviously Batman the animated series, like Animaniacs, right?
Do you guys get sensory stuff? Like, I remember smells that I was experiencing when I was watching it.
Sure.
And, like, I remember eating certain things. Like, I remember going to sleepovers, and, like, when I watched this episode, I had this for dinner, and we drank this. Like, it was like 7-Up or something. I was a kid. But I remember
sandwiches.
Oh, you cut the little edges and you fry them. So good. But I remember that along with the episode. So it doesn't just give me the show back. It gives me, like, chunks of my life I've forgotten back. Like, Disney Plus is giving me my childhood back.
I know. It's like rewiring our hard drives inside our brains and like bringing us back to things like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, I totally forgot a Mighty Ducks cartoon existed.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
Yep.
And I haven't done any of I haven't gone around and navigated through it yet because it took me forever just to get The Mandalorian. But there is a movie that I'm looking forward to revisiting that's going to be on Disney Plus.
Which is what?
Gentlemen, ladies,
Brink.
No ladies here, Mark.
Goth. The Rocketeer.
Oh,
yes!
So good. Joe
I can't
Johnson.
wait.
One of the best superhero themes ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it so much.
Who did
Yes.
that score?
I'm trying to remember.
It was
James
Was it
Horner?
James Horner?
It was either James Horner or Alan Silvestri.
I think it's Alan Silvestri.
It's Alan
I think
Silvestri.
you're
I
right.
think.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope, James Horner.
Hector
Oh,
was right.
man.
Good job, Hector.
Man, I would have thought it was
Schmodown
Silvestri.
points gone.
Well, Joe Johnston.
Yeah.
It should.
Yeah.
Yeah, James Horner. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, that's right. He was doing all that like 80s, 90s family stuff
Right.
so
Yeah.
well.
R.I.P.
So underrated.
James Horner.
I know.
Gone too soon.
Rocketeer is great. You know what else is cool? I saw somebody. I think it's always great to re-examine the stuff you love, to recognize how things have changed, but still absolutely love it. You don't have to just say everything is, oh, that's problematic. Shut up. You love The Simpsons and you love, all that other stuff. But I saw somebody point out the Simpsons episode with Michael Jackson is not on there.
Yeah,
I was like,
Are you serious?
Okay. That bugs the hell out of me
too.
because
It's the complete
as
series.
a completionist, I'm like, look, I'm loving that everybody is diving back into like Simpsons.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan and you're mad that like that episode isn't on there, first of all,
It's a part of history.
Yes, I'm the type of person that if I'm watching a show and I'm like for real committing to it, I'm gonna pull up like the Wikipedia entry on the show.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes I'll cross-reference and be like, let me just make sure that they do have every episode, just to double check. Okay, we got everything. Season 1, good to go. Let's go. If you see something like that and you're mad, you know what? Go track down that season of The Simpsons on DVD.
Yeah.
Go do it. Physical media still, even with Disney Plus, still wins all because everyone's like, oh, great, I'm glad I didn't buy any movies in the MCU. Now they're on there. I'm like, no, they're not. You don't have the Incredible Hulk. You don't have the Spider-Mans.
Right.
So love what you love, but also if maybe Disney Plus or whatever is now getting you to the point where you really care strongly about stuff like this, of like, hey, don't edit that or don't leave that episode out. Go get the physical media. You'll have it forever.
I mean, I have my precious huge collection of VHS Disney movies, and not just Disney, but all of those things that they actually have re-edited nowadays,
Sure.
right? Like,
Yeah.
didn't we lose like the priest in The Little Mermaid had like a weird boner, and like
Yeah,
and they got rid of that.
Yeah, he did.
So there's things like that people are like happy they changed. I'm like, I don't know. I think it's kind of funny that an animator was like, hey, this looks fun, and kids aren't going to get it. So
The Rescuers Down Under had those 2 window frames where it was actual live action, like boobs. Like there was like actual
Took
real
those
life
out.
porn, and that's gone now.
That
kids.
was from the days of you couldn't pause things.
Right. Now
Right.
it's very clear.
Isn't the Lion King when like Simba lays down and the dust
the
comes out
word
and it
say
spells
sex.
sex?
Yeah.
Well-
Well, and Nala does have the Disney
you.
sex
Thank you.
eyes. And they got rid of
Oh,
those
yeah.
too.
How
They don't
did
have
they
those
get
in
rid
the
of
movies
those?
anymore.
What do
No,
you
but
mean?
when was the last time you saw
Oh, I
Disney
see.
sex eyes?
You're right. You're right.
You got them
But
from Ariel,
that
Nala,
dust-
but who else?
That dust is actually supposed to read SFX
For
because it
special
was
effects.
done by the special effects team, but everyone's like, that's it. That
Maybe
F is
that's
an
the
E.
urban legend then.
Yeah.
Is that
It
it,
would-
was sex,
either
but
way.
it was SFX.
I still think that was edited later. You're right.
Yeah.
But also on the Little Mermaid VHS cover, there was a penis on Triton's
big
castle.
dildo.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Big dildo. Big gold dildo.
think
Definitely
that's so
phallic.
funny.
But also to Disney Plus's credit, there is somebody else pointed out when you go watch like the Dumbo movie, an old classic Disney movie. There's in the little description they have Disney put something like this may contain inappropriate content by today's standards, something like that. Which I'm
Right.
like, good, just do
Exactly.
that. Warner Brothers does it for their Looney Tunes shorts.
Yeah.
Right.
They have some shorts that they do not hide away when really they should because they're like super racist or offensive or whatever. But they'll put out these collections kind of meant for adult collectors of Looney Tunes shorts, and they have that little thing and that little warning in the beginning that says, look, some of the stuff is outdated, but to say that it didn't happen would be ignoring history and ignoring that things like racism and sexism occurred then. So we're just going to present it as is, but know that it is of its time and it's just for historical purposes. Disney could so easily do that. I'm not saying Disney, you got to put Song of the South on there.
Right,
I know
right.
like that's a whole nother conversation, but they could very easily keep their legacy content forever
Yes.
by just having those little warnings and things and disclaimers where appropriate.
Speaking